Today's podcast sponsored by Beam. Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for 47% off your first order. A big show today because now we've got the CR, which I acknowledge. I will acknowledge again. I will say, there are very few words I enjoy saying, but dispositive. I will say dispositively, this CR sucks. I get it. You are 100% correct. Intentional pregnant pause. I don't know what, for the 10% of people that disagreed with me, they're disagreeing with me on things I agree with. You're only disagreeing with yourself. I agree it sucks. All I asked you for was a plan. Give me plan B. And I'm not kidding when I tell you this. I got about 1,000 emails on this, probably 200 maybe or so. Maybe 100 that were negative. Not a single one had a plan. They basically said, like, we don't like you. You suck. Okay, great. What's your plan? Well, I don't have one. Oh, okay. I told you it was going to happen. Hey, if you go back into the 90s, the original promise of the internet was to provide a virtual world of equals free from the dictates of government and business. We're far from that original promise, aren't we? It's pretty clear big tech companies and advertisers have taken over our devices, but there's a way to take back control. That's with ExpressVPN. Every time you go online, your internet service provider is tracking, recording, and creating a profile based on everything you do. Data brokers then sell your profile to whoever is willing to pay for it. But with ExpressVPN, 100% of your online traffic travels through secure encrypted servers, so no one can watch what you do, not even the internet provider. ExpressVPN hides your IP address so that no company can use it to identify you and manipulate your online experience. ExpressVPN is easy to use. It just takes one click and it works on all your devices. Right now, you can get an extra 4 months free when you use a special link for us. Go to expressvpn.com/Bongino. Get 4 extra months of ExpressVPN. That's EXPRESS, expressvpn.com/Bongino. Deeply appreciate your patience this week, again, as we wrapped up the show. Today's show also brought to you by Patriot Mobile. We've been fighting for the same thing for years: freedom, liberty, and the country we love. One of our biggest supporters has been share our values, and stand for what we believe in. Switch to Patriot Mobile with confidence, knowing you get outstanding nationwide coverage because they operate on all 3 major networks. Not only do you have a guarantee, you'll get the Patriot Mobile coverage guarantee as well. Remember, every dollar you spend supports a company that believes in the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, and our veterans and first responders. Switching is easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. The 100% U.S. customer support team will help you find the perfect plan for you, your family, even your business. So go to patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT. Get a free month of service with promo code Dan. Truth is, I can't think of a reason you shouldn't be on Patriot Mobile, so check them out. That's patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT. All right, fellas, let's go. We have a special guest in the studio today. Who do you guys think it is? Switch over to the camera. Jim, give a wave. Glad to see you have your Yankees jersey on. Very proud of you. Very proud. Jim, go ahead and talk back.
No.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's meant to look like a Mets jersey, but it is not. Jim is a big Yankees fan. Good to have Jim in the studio. Acknowledging also that Don Mattingly, who I have his autographed baseball right back there in the case somewhere. Don Mattingly is actually, you know what? That's coming up with me to Washington, D.C. I'm taking a Don Mattingly baseball with me. So thank you, Producer Jim, for that. I told you guys with the CR bill, can we just stick with the facts? I can't tell you how many times I've had this argument with people. Do not get emotional about politicians. Don't do it. There's this tendency to want to fall in love and out of love with people. I get it. I am not insulting you. I've done it too. There are people, I can probably name 4 or 5 of them. I've heard them give speeches. They were Republicans running for office, and I was like, damn, this guy is good. And then you turn out later, and you look up their Liberty score, whatever it may be, and you find out they vote like crap every single time. Do not fall in love with politicians. Fall in love with what? Folks in the chat. Fall in love with what? Outcomes. The problem I had with this continuing resolution bill is it sucks. The outcome is going to be bad, additional government spending. So why did we have voted on it? Because we don't have an alternate plan to get past the Senate filibuster obstacle. The only plan is to use reconciliation, which you cannot use with this bill. So I asked yesterday, when I did this segment. I have no problem with Congressman Tom Massey whatsoever. He's been great on the January 6th pipe bomber. I'm glad he's talking about spending. I just asked one simple question and the clip went viral yesterday, which, by the way, Jim, drove that death of journalism guy crazy. Did you see that? He was so upset I commented on it. Apparently, he just figured out I have a political opinion podcast up until Monday. It's called The Job. He was shocked. I got no problem with him. I don't fall in love or out of love with people. I just asked, what's the plan? If we are going to cut spending in the CR, which I would love to see, love it, I would love it, then I'm asking you, how are you going to get the votes? The answer is, I don't have the votes. Okay, then the government fake shuts down. What's your plan to get out of that? Well, we're going to leave it. I will give one guy credit. One guy on Facebook said to me yesterday, basically, Dan, I don't like you. You're a toolbox. Keep the government shut down forever for all I care. All right, that's your plan. I'm going to ask you a question, though. When have we ever won an argument like that? I'm just asking for appropriate. I give the guy credit. That's a plan. I don't think it's a great plan, but at least he presented a plan. He said, I don't care. Keep it shut down until 2028. Here's the thing, though. Two things. Excuse me. Got a little bit of allergies. Guy is okay. I absolve Guy of any responsibility for my fake cold. It was fake. It is allergies because I took a little bit of allergy medication yesterday and felt great. Two things. We just elected Donald Trump to reform government. It's only been 30 days. The border crossing numbers have fallen off a cliff. He is already working on moving around chess pieces in the economy. He's already moving on dismantling the Department of Education. It's been about, what, is it 52 days now? 52 days. Give the guy a chance. So number one, he's not going to fix everything in this bill right now. Yeah, it's just unrealistic. And second, folks, it sucks, but the left-wing media still has some power, and the public just isn't there yet with government shutdowns. Guys, ladies, people panic with government shutdowns, and it's because the media feeds into the panic. They tell people receiving Social Security, they're going to cut off your checks, puppies are going to die, AIDS and cancer research is going to stop on a dime. People are going to die everywhere. Black holes are going to form over there. It'd be like that movie. Remember when the moon crashes into Earth? And people believe it. I'm sorry, but I live in the world that we're stuck with, not the world I would like to kind of mold like Play-Doh. I get it. The bill sucks. You win. Can we agree? Can we handshake on it? I'm simply stating to you, if you don't have some kind of a voting plan, then you're just talking. Reality matters. And always measure the effectiveness of what you're doing, by the way, by what? Tell me in the chat. If you don't know, I'll be very upset. How do you know what we're doing is effective? Because the Democrats freaked out yesterday. Literally. There's going to be the liberal use of the word literally in the show today. Literally. You'll see. You know I hate the word, right? You'll see what I mean in a second, but you're using it. I'll tell you why. But it's both sides. Did you guys pick up on that too? Both of these clips? You did, right? Here first, here is Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. He knows this is a crap bill, but he knows it's a simple matter of arithmetic. There was no way to get past the Senate filibuster, and you can't do reconciliation in this bill, period. They weren't going to get Democrat votes on this. Just a few, and that's it. Here's Johnson yesterday roasting the liberals on this. Check this out.
On Friday, they said, quote, Republicans have decided to introduce a partisan continuing resolution that threatens to cut funding for health care, nutritional assistance, and veterans benefits through the end of the year. Every single word of that is a lie. Every single they just made it up. They didn't read the bill. It's nonsense. People are not buying this. And you see the contrast between one party, which is leading, moving the ball forward for the American people, and the other that is just screaming.
Weasel Flu says, I literally hate literally. Yes, me too, brother. And Leonardo, 76131, how do you measure it? By the reaction of your political opponents, the liberals. Yes. So if this was such a horrible thing last night, and I get it, the bill sucks. I've already said this here, period. I'll put a big dot here, there in the corner. Period. I get it. The question isn't, does it suck? The question is, it's like being in some foreign prison camp in a communist nation. Okay, being there sucks. Do you have a plan to get out? No, we can complain about it all you want. How the hell are you going to get out of the prison? That's the problem. You need a plan. Why are the Democrats freaking out and using the word literally? Why are they freaking out so much if this was such a terrible day? Let me answer the question for you, because what's the point of being here? It's not a pop quiz. It's my job, at least for the next 3 days. Gosh, I can't believe it. 3 days, man. Can't believe we're only 2 shows away from the finale. When the other side starts losing their mind, folks, it usually means we're doing something right. Here, let me just lay out for you what they wanted to do. They wanted the Republicans to not have enough Republican votes to pass this thing. They wanted the government to shut down the Democrats. I thought they hated shutdowns. No, they wanted it because they wanted to say, look at these idiots. They just got into office. They have all three of they have the court system. They have the executive branch. They have the House. They have the Senate. And they can't even pass a spending bill. That was going to be their message. I'm not telling you it's right. And they wanted us to look like the chaos party, because they understood they could do that. They're stunned now that Speaker Johnson has now whipped 2 votes on reconciliation, which has started in this, and there's been no chaos at all. Only Massey, who, again, I'm not mad at the guy at all. What would I be mad at the guy for? His message is right, cut spending. It's just the tactics I disagree with. I can't believe how many people are in my chat and the Facebook messages. Yeah, you suck, Massey's great. What's your plan? I don't have one. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, cool. This is great. This is a representative, was it Melanie Stansberry? This is a lady who, I love how they attack me for foul language and stuff. This lady is using foul language all the time and others. So that's kind of hilarious. They only seem to be selective on that. But here's a Democrat rep basically losing it over to CR, and she gives away the battle plan I told you yesterday and does it inadvertently. She exaggerates, of course. They're going to cut firefighters and veterans. She's, of course, making that up. That's not the target at all. There are going to be some people in government who are going to be separated from jobs, okay? We don't have the money to pay all these people anymore. We just don't. But listen to her exaggerate. But she actually gives away the plan I told you yesterday. She's not wrong in her premise that Republicans want to move on to the reconciliation bill to get a hold of the out-of-control federal budget, which is exactly what I told you yesterday. And she thinks it's a win for her. Check this out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes when I'm standing in this chamber, I literally cannot believe my ears. And I have to say that today is one of those days, because as we stand here on the floor today, I am hearing members of the other side of the aisle who said they would never vote for a continuing resolution, that they would never vote to raise the debt, that they would never vote for a bill that extends the debt ceiling, say that we have to pass this bill. And so I literally cannot believe my ears today, because the GOP today is here with a great American bait and switch. So let me explain to you what exactly is going on. Donald Trump spent the weekend calling our colleagues across the aisle, asking them to keep the government open until the end of the fiscal year so that they can get on with their real agenda. And you all know what the real agenda is. The real agenda is that they're dismantling the federal government. They're firing tens of thousands of federal workers, teachers, firefighters, veterans, military, members of our community who are in crisis right now, and they are illegally impounding funds. And meanwhile, my Republican colleagues who said they would never vote for anything like this are saying that they are going to vote for it because on the side, Donald Trump is winking at them, and his people are telling them, don't worry, if you pass this bill, we're going to continue to do all of that illegal activity.
Okay, obviously, she is exaggerating grotesquely. It's not illegal activity for the executive branch to manage the executive branch and engage in force reductions by discontinuing job positions we can't afford. Illegal? Really? What are you going to impeach him again for the 72nd time? Okay, she's just making that up. Of course, they're acting like they care about firefighters and veterans when they've been the guns and butter approach. They've been cutting the guns forever, Democrats, and actually defenestrating our military with woke crap. So please, Representative Stansbury, stop pretending you guys all of a sudden care about spending and all this other stuff and firefighters. Please stop, okay? Public safety is not exactly your strong point. You can put that stuff back in the file drawer. But did you see how when you get past the hyperbole and exaggeration, she tells you exactly what I told you yesterday? Which is why I said to you, this is not the fight right now. She's saying they want to just get rid of this thing for a few months so they can move on to reconciliation where they can start to lean out government. She just told you, if you're watching VOD, video on demand later on, it's live now, just rewind. Rewind and listen again. Put the hyperbole filter on, and you'll see, wow, Dan was right. The Democrats are now admitting that that's the plan, which is what I told you it was. So if your goal, whether it's Massey or anyone in the House Freedom Caucus, and they were on board with this strategy, is to lean out government, then the way to do it is to get past the filibuster. And the way to do that is to use reconciliation, which is not this bill. It's the reconciliation bill, which they're working on, which they already had the votes to get started. Guys, I hate to sound silly here, but this is just kind of the straight talk show. Really, I'm not trying to, what was that? I'm not trying to steal lines from like John McCain, or remember he's a Straight Talk Express or whatever it was. I actually mean it. I'm not happy about it either. But we are in a divided political country. That's just the hard reality. We have got to do the hard work of politics, of convincing 55% of the American people, which may be enough to get us past the filibuster in the Senate in a midterm election at some point, that we are the right pathway forward. That's hard work. We can't just force it down people's throats. We just don't have the votes right now in this bill. This was a huge, huge topic yesterday. Congressman Chip Roy fired back yesterday, too. A couple literallys in here, too. Literally. You'll see. Here's Congressman Chip Roy going after Congresswoman Stansbury and others, laughing at the fact that now the Democrats are pretending they care about spending restraint and CRs, which is the peak of hypocrisy. They love CRs, continuing resolutions, because they just keep government spending going. Which side is it? Check this out.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized for 2 minutes.
Well, I appreciate the sudden religion my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have found on spending restraint and the need to cut spending. I look forward to all the proposals that my colleagues will put forward on reducing significant amounts of spending and waste, fraud, and abuse. And I'll look for that press conference they'll no doubt have sometime this week. I would also note that when we talk about continuing resolutions, what my colleague just failed to mention was the fact that literally every single Democrat voted for the CR that we just had in December. Like literally every single Democrat except for one who I think maybe took a present vote. The fact of the matter is, it has nothing to do with that. The fact of the matter is, for those of us who do not like CRs as a general principle, the fact is, because Democrats literally wouldn't pass an appropriations bill out of the Senate, we're left doing the cleanup work of trying to figure out how to move forward while we have an administration that isn't at war with its own people. When the previous administration was blatantly disregarding the well-being of the American people, to have wide open borders, letting fentanyl and letting all manners of evil come into our country.
Yes, he's not wrong. I had to stop the chat here for a second, on my phone, not permanently. Sean, New York, Appleseed, I love you, brother, but he says Massey is right. No more spending. Can we all in the chat say, Sean, we agree? No more excessive spending. But again, you are committing the cardinal sin of the chat on this show. You're stating a position without a plan to win the game. I want to win the game. How? I don't know, but I want to win. I get it. Sean, love you, brother. Thank you for the comment. I'm not singling you out. Everybody applaud him. Massey is right. No more red ink. How do you get there? Sean, tell me how you're going to get the votes. And if your plan is like the gentleman who insulted me on Facebook, which is okay, we like dissent, said, I just want to keep it shut down forever. Okay, that's your plan. I disagree with it. I think we actually just elected Donald Trump to fix the government, not to just completely ignore it for 4 years, and then we're stuck with the same mess. Let's be honest. You can't shut the government down for 4 years. You just can't. It's not practical. It's not a real plan. Sean, love you, man. Don't mean it again. I'm not trying to get on you. I love everyone in the chat. But all I'm asking for is straight talk from you two. You know, I take a big risk on this show and have for years, going out on a limb with topics I know are going to alienate some of your audience. But I'm not going to be the New York Times that in order to cater to their subscriber base says, hey, Donald Trump colluded with the Russians when they knew it was. They had to know that wasn't true. I'm not going to do that. You guys deserve some integrity in the message, even in the last 3 shows. You're not here for, bullshit, okay? This is a political opinion show, and you deserve my honest opinion, not some fake opinion so I can cater to everyone. It's phony. I need a plan. All right, quick break here. Hey, you remember the great ammo shortage of 2020? Shelves were bare, online options were wiped out? I do. Well, there's a company in Idaho helping to make sure that never happens again. It's called Ammo Squared. Ammo Squared. They've been helping over 80,000 members get their ammo automatically since 2015. Here's how it works. You sign up, pick your ammunition from over 70 different calibers, set up an auto-buy budget, and choose a shipping trigger. Over time, your ammunition accumulates and is stored for free in Ammo Squared's climate-controlled warehouse until you're ready to ship. No minimums, no extra fees. It's perfect for small budgets or anyone who wants to build up their ammunition holdings without spending thousands or hundreds of dollars up front. Choose from over 70 calibers of ammo, set your budget, and let Ammo Squared do the rest. Ammo Squared is the smarter way to stockpile your ammunition. Set it and forget it. Ship it when you need it. It's the easiest way to stay prepared without the hassle. Head to ammosquared.com and take the work out of buying ammunition. 80,000 members and thousands of 5-star ratings. Can't be wrong. That's ammosquared.com. Check them out today. Must be 18 or older and not prohibited from possessing ammo. Must be 21 for handgun ammunition. Sorry, excuse me. I should have hit the cough button thing there now that we have it. And our second sponsor here, Genucel. Genucel Skincare would like to celebrate and thank all of the loyal listeners of the Dan Bongino Show with an incredible sale. Right now, go to Genucel.com/Dan. Take advantage of a complete package with 6 Genucel top sellers for over 70% off. That's right, Genucel's complete skincare package features the Genucel Under Eye Bags and Puffiness Serum, Dark Spot Corrector, and immediate effects for results in minutes. If you don't see results, you don't pay. It's that easy. Genucel's my wife Paula's go-to skincare, the official skincare of the Bongino Army. Genucel's product is proud to have supported the Dan Bongino Show since all the way back in 2018. True. For over 25 years and millions of orders shipped, Genucel products have the same philosophy. Antioxidants, the same base, and the same chef in the kitchen. Go to Genucel.com/Dan, Genucel.com/Dan. Every order includes their best-selling eyelid lift for droopy eyelids. 6 Genucel top sellers, all for 70% off. Express shipping is also free. Order now, don't wait. As a special thank you to all of my listeners, enter special code Dan at checkout for an extra discount. Genucel.com/Dan. Genucel.com/Dan. Producer Jim, what is that called? What we just did?
Oh, an ad.
And really?
Yes.
It's a new business model, correct?
Brand new.
Brand new.
Just
no one's
started.
ever done that before. Nobody. Jim's been in the business a while. Jim, we invented that, right?
You
did.
did.
We did. I'm so creative. You know how Elon sends rockets to space and reinvented the car market? We invented this entire thing called written spots. The media just figured that out there. They should be impressed, right, Jim? Folks, if you don't sense the sarcasm, again, you may be that guy, the Ziegler man yesterday, or Zygmunt, whatever his name was yesterday, who just figured that out. He was stunned. All right, so moving on from the CR, because a lot of stuff happened yesterday. Major updates on what's going on with tariffs. Tariffs which are, folks, they are taxes at the border. That's what a tariff is. Again, I'm just going to straight talk with you, okay? However, we do have to raise money for the federal fisc. We have our military to support in a court system. In my humble opinion, and I think in many others, we should raise the least amount of money possible to fulfill the constitutional roles of government. There should be no extra coming out of Americans' pockets. So if we are going to use tariffs to offset a number of tax cuts and then cut more and get down to a more reasonable tax base, which is excessively high now, then yes, it could be an effective tool. They start a tariff war, there is a possibility, if you're not escalating to de-escalate, that it could get out of control. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to get to that in a second, but I got a Ukraine update here too. The ceasefire is now on the table. And although I don't accuse everybody out there of or throw out this 4D chess thing all the time, just get to the point. I think Donald Trump has a huge win on the table here. He now has an acceptable ceasefire to Ukraine out there, and I'll play Secretary Rubio's clip in a minute. He now has Russia in a corner because Vladimir Putin, I don't care what anyone's telling you, folks, Vladimir Putin is not our friend. I get that, period. However, Vladimir Putin has been taking a lot of losses too. This has not been a terrific outcome. Russia has a sliver of the territory in Ukraine they've wanted, considering all the losses they've taken to personnel, to military equipment. Russia's getting hurt here too. I don't care what they tell you. So President Trump now has him in a corner, and so does Rubio. Because if Ukraine says, we'll accept this 30-day ceasefire, and Russia breaks it, it gives Donald Trump an excuse to then rearm Ukraine and let them continue to escalate, take a toll on Putin until he comes back to the table for a potentially worse deal. Here's Secretary Rubio on Ukraine accepting the terms of a 30-day ceasefire. Check this out.
Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes to peace. The ball is now in their court.
You see what he did here? The secretary, that was NSA Mike Waltz, and President Trump. Vladimir Putin now understands that Donald Trump, he said it himself. I mean, he's already said it in Truth Social. I'm not speaking for him. I've not discussed the matter with him at all. I'm just reading his Truth Social posts, which he's been candid and open about. He has already said, if Vladimir Putin does not take this deal, basically we're going to make this painful. There's not going to be American boots on the ground, but there damn well is going to be American military equipment. And if you want this thing to go on and become Russia's new Afghanistan, which has caused us trouble too, just straight talk on it. But Russia was forced to leave Afghanistan in a humiliating manner. We weren't the only ones under Joe Biden's era to take losses in Afghanistan and leave. The Russians had to as well. If you want to stay in Ukraine forever and continue to just destroy your military, I say decimate, but this lady was decimate means, no, I know what it means. You go look it up in the dictionary. I know but just have your military destroyed, fine. But now he's forcing this tactically, he's forcing this into Putin's corner. On the foreign policy front too with the tariffs. So this happened yesterday. This is a big mistake. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, I get it. Listen, I try to give you both sides of a story. I understand he's obviously Canadian. He's the premier in Ontario. And he's going to defend his people, and he's going to try to, puff his chest and engage in bravado. The problem I have with that is, tactically speaking, pulling myself out of it completely, if I'm a foreign leader dealing with a far more powerful country, militarily and elsewhere, it's not a reflection of human beings or, everyone's a child of God. I get it. But we are a more powerful country, militarily and economically. It's just a fact. Bowing up to Donald Trump is just a really bad idea. So watch this. This is a story in three chapters here. Here's chapter 1. Ontario Premier Doug Ford warning and getting after Donald Trump. If the U.S. escalates, he'll shut off electricity completely. Sir, I'm just telling you. I get it. You're trying to take the edge off this thing, but that's a dumb idea. Check this out.
Let me be clear. I will not hesitate to increase this charge. If necessary, if the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely. Believe me when I say I do not want to do this. I feel terrible for the American people because it's not the American people who started this trade war. It's one person who's responsible. That's President Trump.
Guys, here's my problem with it is the tactics of it are silly. Chest puffing around Donald Trump is a really, really stupid idea. It just is. It's a matter of pure tactics. Forget the morals and ethics of it. Second, he's doing this thing Thomas Sowell calls starting the story in the middle. He's pretending that Canada does not have a history of dairy tariffs and other tariffs against the United States, which have caused real problems for American markets based on this. We're all in the same hemisphere. He's pretending that didn't happen. He's acting like, oh, they're innocent victims, and Donald Trump just randomly pulled this out of his caboose. So here's Donald Trump responding on True Social. I mean, this is the most predictable response ever. You mess with Trump, he's going to fight back harder, and he's got the power to do it. Based on Ontario, Canada's 25% tariff on electricity, I'm adding an additional 25% tariff to 50% on steel and aluminum coming from Canada. I mean, you had to know that was going to happen. This is chapter 2. Here is the finale of this 3-chapter book here on why not to puff up to Donald Trump. Here's a Fox report on Ontario Premier Doug Ford after the True Social post. Check this out.
Well, things change, don't they? Ontario Premier Doug Ford, up in Canada, has decided he's not going to tax the United States residents and electrical users 25%. He had a conversation with our Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and they both decided it would be in the best interests of both countries not for Ford to do that.
As I said, it's just a silly tactical move. I understand. I don't get mad at politicians, even from other countries. I get what he's got to do. He's got to go out there and say, I'm defending. Fine. Donald Trump will do the same thing. The problem is it's asymmetric economic warfare. And as a matter of pure tactics, you saw what happened with Zelensky. He doesn't like it, and he will respond. These guys are funny. We're putting the show together today, and sometimes we have random elements we like, but I'm going to be straight with you. We have a tough time fitting them into, I like to tell these kind of longitudinal narratives in the show where everything builds on the other one. We had nowhere to really put this stuff, so these guys called it assorted FAFO. I told producer Jim, it made me think of that show Jeopardy, that category potpourri. They just throw everything in one column. So that's coming up next. You'll see, one of my favorite clips, I picked this one. VA Secretary Doug Collins just destroying this reporter who wrote this nasty fake headline. You got to see this. You want to talk about killing them with kindness? This is just delicious. Coming up next. Last break. You've all heard me talk about Armra colostrum by now. It's one of the best kept secrets of industry insiders for a while. Armra colostrum has thousands of people reporting absolutely transformational benefits, me included, tens of thousands of 5-star reviews and life-changing stories. I use it twice a day. I love the product. Been using it for a while before they sponsored the show. Armra colostrum is a proprietary concentrate of bovine colostrum that harnesses over 400 living bioactive nutrients that can help strengthen the barriers of your body and help fuel cellular health for thousands of research-backed health benefits. Armra colostrum can strengthen immunity and gut health, improve fitness and metabolism, and enhance skin and hair radiance. Look at that. Skin and hair radiance. We worked out a special offer for my audience. Receive 15% off your first order. Go to tryarmra.com/Dan or enter code Dan to get 15% off your first order. That's TRYARMRA. Tryarmra.com/Dan. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease or condition. And they're not a substitute or alternative to seeking care from your healthcare provider. And our last sponsor today, I've had my Helix mattress for several years now. I got another one coming. Right, Michael? Michael, correct? I was asking him for some help. We're still, the relocation process, folks, happened quick. So I definitely noticed how great I'm sleeping. I've had Helix mattresses for about 10 years now. Helix is an award-winning mattress brand. It's been the essential reason I wake up feeling refreshed and ready to tackle a new day. No more tossing and turning. If you're dealing with snoring, sleep apnea, back pain, or even if you sleep too hot, Helix has a mattress option for you. HELIX. Go to helixsleep.com/Dan and get started. You'll know a good night's sleep is one of the best ways to get a better quality of life. You know that. And Helix Mattress can help figure out which mattress will work for you. I have a pretty hectic schedule. I always look forward to my Helix mattress. So many of my listeners are sleeping on Helix now. It's making a difference in their lives. Right now, get Helix's best offer available, exclusive for my listeners. 20% off site-wide. That's right. Just visit helixsleep.com/Dan. 20% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/Dan. Okay, you ready? This is my favorite clip of the day. This was my personal Dan Bongino numero uno, my triage of important clips. This is VA Secretary Doug Collins, a very good guy. He's been a friend of ours for a very long time. Here he is talking to a reporter about a fake headline meant to scare veterans. And I want you to watch the reporter, or more carefully, let me say it precisely. I want you to listen to the reporter stumble over her own response, because she essentially knows she's caught, and they basically kind of like fabricated a headline. Check this out.
Okay, but you think about what it says here. Elon Musk, aide, is now working at VA accessing computer systems. Ooh. I mean, that's
that's a true statement.
No, it is, because you know what? We don't make them. We don't make a Doge employee, which is funny because they're VA employees, a liaison. We don't also give them a.
I was not told that.
We don't give.
I was not told.
But you wrote the article.
Liaison. It
you wrote
told
the article.
It was a Doge employee, one Doge employee.
As we look at this, Patricia, I want you to know something. When you look at this headline and you're accessing computer systems, I want to work with you a lot as we go forward. We're going to have a lot of time together.
That's fair.
But I'm not going to have any reporter scaring my employees and scaring the veterans. And that's what this is doing. Let's get it right. I'm the most transparent VA secretary we've had yet. I'm on video. I'm on interviews. I do everything I possibly can to push back against everything I'm hearing. So we got a team that will help you, but I need your commitment to help me too. Okay?
Folks, that's how it's done. You see I don't want to say the panic. I don't want to be dramatic in the reporter's voice, but the anxiety, can you sense it? Because she understands the story they wrote was ridiculous and they have no basis for it about Doge and the VA. It's just meant to freak people out. That is exactly how it's done. And my recommendation to you is, if you ever become an activist, a government employee, a bureaucrat, I don't mean that in a bad way, but you ever work as a messaging person in a company, that's the way you address that stuff. You notice when I had the Young Turks, he was on, what's his name again? Cenk, yeah. Sorry, no disrespect intended. When we had him on, the interview, a lot of people were mad at me. They were. I got a lot of negative comments on the show. He said, Dan, that debate, I was expecting fire and brimstone. Well, it was a debate. I wasn't, if you're going to have someone on the show, that's the way to do it, to debate ideas kind of calmly back and forth. That's how you do it. Good job, Secretary Collins. Here's Caroline Levitt. She's been excellent as the press secretary, too. An AP reporter. Listen, he's making a case here I'm not going to dismiss out of hand. I've told you, tariffs are taxes. But what the AP reporter is ignoring in the question, and what Caroline Levitt addresses here, is that Donald Trump has a massive tax cut plan in the reconciliation bill that on net is going to lower taxes for the American people dramatically. The AP reporter is leaving that part out. He's starting the story in the middle. Caroline Levitt has to correct him here. Check this out.
If we could just step back for a second. When President Trump last addressed the BRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs.
Not true.
And I'm curious
he's not doing
why
that.
He's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that, again, have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people, and the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They don't get charged on foreign companies. They get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Mary, go ahead.
Okay. Love that. Who's texting me? They're making two separate arguments here. Notice how he starts the story in the middle. He focuses solely on the tariff component. I'll give you a better example. He's saying, hey, a tariff is a tax. Okay, he's not wrong. Caroline Leavitt's making a separate argument that Donald Trump came in and he's going to rewrite how we tax people, but he's going to lower the amount you pay on net. So it'd be like this. It'd be like saying, listen, you guys are imposing, say, a property tax. I'm just throwing out random taxes out there in a market. Wow, you're raising our taxes. And then the exact same politician says, yeah, but we're doing the property tax in lieu of an income and capital gains tax, which we're going to wipe out. So you're actually going to pay lesser taxes on the property than you would on your income and capital gains. You got a tax cut. They're making two separate arguments. I'm not going to lie. Yes, a tariff is a tax. There's no question about it. But he's not doing it in addition to what you have now. He's doing it in an effort to generate some funds so in the reconciliation bill, they can cut taxes. So just be honest about it. There's no harm in honesty. This is the kind of honesty, however, though, that is even more refreshing. When people in the government who don't want accountability, which is not what I'm about, say the quiet part out loud. Here's a federal employee. He says it's frightening to have to respond to an email and what she accomplished at work. Frightening. Have you all in the chat ever done that? You ever got an email at work? Oh, some of you are getting them daily. Check this out.
When you wake up or when you're on your weekend and you get the fork in the road message, or you get the subsequent 5 bullets, hey, what the hell did you do, you lazy federal worker, this week? How frightening is it that someone on X, the owner of X, speaks to you directly to say, what did you do last week at work? And if you don't answer, I am going to fire you. But even more egregious, the president comes out, the most powerful person in the land, and endorses that message. How do you think that makes federal workers feel?
Guys, this is not a winning message, okay? You want to say, if you want to make the case to the American people, your tax dollars are being well spent in my department because I am, whatever, a milk inspector in the local area and your milk is safe because of me or whatever it may be, then make the case. Make the case. Complaining endlessly and whining about how frightening it is to get an accountability email at work that doesn't ask you for a detailed treatise or a freaking PhD dissertation on your job, but says, simply tell us 5 things you've done this week is a loser. By the way, Guy hates this story. I don't. I can't talk about this story enough because it is such an example of this two-tiered system we have. I remember my last line of work. If you had asked me 5 things I did that week, I could tell you 5 things I did in the last 10 minutes sometimes. This is a loser. They do not want to find fraud. By the way, producer Jim, there is a Scott Jennings clip out there we got to get for tomorrow's show. He's in this back and forth with, I forget the CNN host. We've seen her before. But he's making the case to her that if Elon has committed to finding $1 trillion in fraud, granted, that's a big number, why not support the effort? I don't understand why you wouldn't support that effort. This is really the case you're going to make to the American people who are busting their asses to pay the government 40 to 50% of their money when you factor in taxing at all levels in some liberal states? This is a loser argument. And that's why you're getting people like Elizabeth Warren engaging in these really ridiculous rants on Elon. They don't want you to know how inefficient the government is because they're afraid it is going to break up their government as a benevolent force in your life argument. Check this one out. Elizabeth Warren on Elon. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
You know, the way I see this is, Elon, you better keep hiding behind those bags of money, because we know in America who really stands up for people, and that's Mark Kelly. This is Elon and Donald at their best. What they want more than anything else is they want everyone to bend the knee. They want everyone to bow down to them. They want everyone to say, yes, yes, you are right. And what's happening now with Mark Kelly, with Bernie, with me, but with people all across this country, regardless of who they voted for, people across this country saying, we don't want a king. We are not bending our knee to Elon Musk or to Donald Trump.
Now, why did we play this clip? If you're a P1, you'll figure it out quickly, especially from Elizabeth Warren. I want you to kind of rewind the tape if you're on VOD here and play that again. She says at one point, you know, you're going to pretend you get everything right. And all that. He said the opposite. When Elon was in the Oval Office with President Trump, he specifically said, we are going to get things wrong. Is that the language of, what did she say, a king? He specifically said, we are going to get some things wrong. He apologized for things as well. He said, we got that wrong. He said the exact opposite. This isn't reality. Michael, what do you want? Text me. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Michael, just do you want to see? It says, remind. Evita's show today. Don't forget Evita's show, rumble.com/Evita. And then Haley's show coming up at 6 p.m. Thank you. Did we have 10,000 last night on Haley's show? We did. Rumble.com/Haley, 2 Y's, Hayley. Thank you for supporting the show, and always support Evita's show as well. We love Evita's show. Rumble.com/Evita. Thank you, Michael, for the reminder. Here's Mark Kelly on Elon Musk. Another ridiculous argument. They don't want you to see fraud in the government because it's going to shake up their argument that government's a benevolent force in your life, immune to fraud. That's why they want the fraud. Here's Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona. Elon Musk's obviously not a serious guy. Fellas, outside of the space missions, the electric cars, the billions of dollars in wealth created in jobs, yes, you're correct. He's definitely not a serious guy. Check this out.
You make those Elon Musk comments calling you
about me?
Twitter, yeah.
Well, obviously, he's not a serious guy. He's like a 12-year-old. So I don't take him seriously. I served our country in the Navy for 25 years. When I was 22 years old, I swore an oath to defend the Constitution. I've lived that oath my entire life. I'm not sure if Elon has sworn an oath to anything. If I was to guess, probably to billionaires like himself.
You know, I'm going to take back something I said earlier in the show. I said the VA Secretary Doug Collins was my favorite clip. You guys know where I'm going with this. I'm not exactly sure I can say that. This one may be as good. So you can't have two favorites. They may be co-equals in this situation, which defeats the word favorite. This may be the last time I get to mention this during our last 3 shows I have with you. But folks, you know what an extinction burst is? When you put $1 in a Coke machine, you've heard it 1,000 times from me. You get the Coke every day. Yeah, this is so great and refreshing, whatever. And then one day you put $1 in, you're thirsty, and nothing comes out. What do? You kick the machine, screaming and yelling. That is an extinction burst. The Democrats are used to crapping on people and people backing down when the media pressures them. They don't have that in Elon Musk or Donald Trump, who the more you beat them up, the more they push back. So they're kicking the Coke machine. This may be one of the finest extinction bursts you've ever seen. This is Canadian Green Party leader Elizabeth May. Goes on an absolute tirade against Donald Trump. Throws out all of this stuff. The allusions to Nazism, fascism, rape, all this other stuff. She squeezes it all in. Check this out.
We need to have a government that remains solid. Team Canada that can say to Donald Trump, go pound sand or go suck eggs. Although, as I said, I now realize there's a tariff on sand, and they may not be able to afford eggs. Reminds me of his attitude towards women. He's a serial misogynist, sexual abuser, rapist. He's in the White House. What does he want to do? Take Greenland out to buy expensive furniture? Take Greenland into the dressing room? I'm sorry, every time I hear Trump saying he's going to get something one way or another of another sovereign nation, in my head I'm hearing, yeah, I just grab him by the... I wouldn't put it past Trump at all I mean, we've seen Musk interfere in the German elections to support neo-Nazis.
Yeah, Guy just said it right. Guy's talking in my ear. He's like, Dan, do you believe in that short clip? They squeezed every single prior Donald Trump insult that hasn't worked for the last 10 years there. Every single, right? Yeah, did she get Russia in there? She was like, she had a little checklist, like what we used to call my last job a go-by. Like, check, 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 check. It's working really well for the last 10 years. Why do these far-left liberals have this incessant need to insult their voters all the time with this nonsense? Some just insulting them directly. It's like they're taking out their rage on the Coke machine in this extinction burst, but not taking it out on the Coke machine, but actually taking it out on their own voters. Here's what I mean. This is the Democrats' new politician of the day. Democrat Senator Alyssa Slotkin. They love her. They think she's a more moderate. She's fake moderate. She's going to be a liberal when they need her. Of course, they always vote in lockstep. But here's Senator Slotkin. Again, attacking the American voter, comparing them to adolescent, out-of-control, hormone-raging teenagers, not realizing these are her actual voters in the state of Michigan. They can't control themselves. Remember the extinction burst. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Check this out.
Right? I think there's a feeling in the country. Yeah. I mean, I often say this, you know, we're about to turn 250 years old, right? We're still pretty young for a country. These are our like our angry teenage years, right? We are going through this push and pull where we're happy, we're sad, we want this, we want that. And what do you do when you have a teenager who's threatening themselves and others? You just try to get them through this period alive so that their brain can fully form and you can come back to kind of what a country.
Talking about Trump?
No, I'm talking about our country. We're pendulum swinging. We're pendulum swinging. And so for me, I think that I don't think there's a single American who feels like this is normal.
I really genuinely do not understand this impulse on the left to constantly insult their own voters as a way to get voters to go over to their side of the aisle. Did you notice Donald Trump went to the Bronx and other areas that have traditionally voted against him because he wanted to convince people he was a better candidate? I'm not really sure how your new moderate politician for the minute, how this helps. Guy will not let me get off the air today, too, without addressing this story because it's happening again. Folks, did I not call it? Call what? I told you, you can go back and listen to the shows. Michelle Obama was not running for president. So, of course, the rumors are starting again. ABC News, Michelle Obama to grapple with life's biggest questions in her new podcast. Everybody's got a podcast. Everybody's got a podcast, he said. I'm proud to say we were one of the originals. People laughed when we said we were starting a podcast. What the hell's a podcast? That was 10 years ago in 2015. Look, now everybody's got one. There's talk she may run. Now, I'm going to throw a little curveball here. I was absolutely crystal clear she was not going to run in 2024. I'm going to say this. She hated politics. Everybody around her knew it. Her staff used to talk about it all the time. She wanted nothing to do with D.C. She didn't like politics. She hated it. However, the possibility of her running in the future, I don't know what's going on in their personal life. I'm not speaking out of turn. I mean, we're not friends or anything like that. There is a possibility she could run in the future. That's big for me to say. That's huge for me to say. The possibility. It's a small one. There was no possibility in 2024, and I was right. I'm going to open that window, though. It is a possibility in the future. She may. She may figure out that this is a pathway for her to stay in the public eye if things aren't, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Folks, make sure you check out Haley's show later. Rumble.com/Haley, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Really appreciate it. Vince will be launching next week with our new show. Vince, it will be at 10 a.m. You don't want to miss that here on the Rumble channel here. And we always have Evita's show in the morning at 9, rumble.com/Evita, E-V-I-T-A. It's been a huge hit. People love it. Thank you to the Bongino crew out there. You guys are the best for supporting us. We really appreciate it. 2 more shows left, folks. 2 more left. I'm going to tell you, each one hurts a little bit more. Really. I'll see you on the radio show here in a little bit. And back here for our second to last show tomorrow. Today's show brought to you by Beam. Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for 47% off your order. This is a big deal. It has exploded on Twitter. It's about the CR, continuing resolution, and I feel an obligation. I actually threw this in last minute to give you guys the facts so that you know what's going on. Because everybody's throwing around the term, that guy's a hypocrite, that guy's a fraud, that guy's a... We'll see. You guys can form your own opinions. By the way, thank you for your patience this week as we... this is 4 more shows left, and everyone matters to me, so I really, really appreciate your patience dealing with me and the transition, the new studio and everything. Thank you so much. Hey, they want you to believe inflation's just an accident, but is it? Every time inflation spikes, your savings could shrink, your paycheck buys less, and just about everything from groceries to gas gets more expensive. But is this just a coincidence, or is it Federal Reserve policy at work? You need to check out Playing with Fire, Money, Banking, and the Federal Reserve. It's a powerful new documentary from the Mises Institute. It examines how the Fed can manipulate money, fuel economic crashes, and enrich the elites at the expense of everyday Americans. For decades, the Mises Institute's been calling out the dangers of reckless government spending and the Fed's destructive policies, warning about the 2008 crash and skyrocketing inflation long before the mainstream media admitted there was a problem. This is a must-watch film. The establishment doesn't want you to see it, and right now, when you visit Mises.org/Bongino, by May 31st, 2025, you can also claim a free copy of What's Government Done to Our Money, a classic book exposing how government mismanagement of money could be robbing you of your financial freedom. Don't wait. Go to Mises.org/Bongino right now, MISES. Watch the film. Claim your free book while supplies last. That's Mises.org/Bongino. Today's show also brought to you by My Patriot Supply. They're one of my first sponsors. They've been with me for a long time. There are a lot of people out there who take money from a lot of different companies. You can do your thing, but we've always done ours, and we've been very careful with the sponsors, and we really appreciate My Patriot Supply. Use their products for emergency preparedness because it's better to have emergency preparedness products and not need them than to need them and not have them. Do not rely on people to bail you out in an emergency. An emergency is going to happen in your lifetime. They've done us a favor. My Patriot Supply is bringing back the emergency preparedness bundle one last time. It has everything you need for ready to handle everything all in one spot. The 3 months of emergency food storage, water filtration, heirloom seeds, multivitamins, potassium iodine, our anti-radiation tablets, and best of all, you can save $300 on this exclusive bundle, but only while it lasts. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Bongino now. That's mypatriotsupply.com/Bongino. Don't wait. Be ready when the next crisis hits. And thank you, My Patriot Supply, for standing with us all these years. We appreciate it. All right, fellas, we get the bell today. I gotta move this seat down a little bit, don't you think? It's like kind of weird. Is that better? Yeah, that feels a little bit better. Thank you for supporting Haley Karania's awesome launch last night. Nightly Scroll with Haley Karania, 6 p.m. live tonight. Rumble.com/Haley, Hayley, 2 Ys. Thank you all for giving her a follow and watching the show last night. Bongino Army, you guys are solid. You showed up in mass. 10,000 streamers last night on our first show. That's huge. She was probably a top 50 streamer in the world, so you guys are terrific. Okay. On the Tom Massey, President Trump blow up today, here's what's going on. And I'm going to try to explain this as plainly as possible so we deal with, again, transactional politics. I'm a +1, -1 guy on the spreadsheet. I have defended Congressman Massey in the past. If you watch my shows, you know that. In this case, in my humble opinion, I'm going to throw that out there in the beginning because I owe it to you. I don't think he's correct. And here's why. They have this thing called the continuing resolution. Basically, the reconciliation bill that Donald Trump is going to be President Trump and the Republican Congress plans on using to do all kinds of wonderful things. Secure the border, reinforce our military, cut taxes, all of that stuff. That is not what this is. That reconciliation bill, the process has just begun. It's not even close to done. I'll get to that in a second because it's going to matter. This continuing resolution, which would continue government spending effectively at its current levels, maybe a little more, is, yes, everybody agrees, is not what we want. Folks, it does very little to cut government spending. Everybody understands that. Nobody's lied about it. Everybody's saying this is not great. So you may be saying to yourself, okay, well, Massey's right. Massey's saying, we have to stop this right now. We are not spending this amount of money. I'm voting against it. The problem is, while that is a nice theory and a correct one that we should slow down government spending dramatically before we go bankrupt, eventually you need a plan to enact it. It's like saying, you know what, listen, I want to rush for 200 yards in this football game on Sunday, and you're the running back. That's a great plan and a laudable goal, and everybody thinks that's fantastic, and they agree with it. The problem is you've got a broken ankle and you can't play. You can think that all you want, but it's not a realistic plan. So the problem I have with Massey's, not his not his. I don't have a problem with his end goal. Let's cut government spending at all. He's correct. The problem is the mechanics of what he's trying to do requires actual oil and gears, and he doesn't have them. He doesn't have the votes. You need a majority of the House of Representatives. He's by himself on the Republican side. He doesn't have the votes. In other words, there are Republicans out there who unfortunately have said, we're kicking this can down the road until we get to reconciliation. There's no votes. So you may say, well, Dan, well, at least we should take a stand. Okay, let me walk you through what happens then. We, quote, take a stand on this, on the CR, which is a bad bill. I get it. You don't need to tell me anywhere, comment. I agree. There's no need to remind me that the levels of government spending were catastrophic. I did about, a 20-minute segment yesterday on my radio show, how we are going de facto bankrupt. You are correct. The problem is I live in the world as it is, not in the world as it should be. I said the same thing with the ouster of McCarthy. We need a plan. We need a plan. For you to oust him without a plan made no sense. And then people beat me up and then realized later on I was right. You need a plan. The problem with this plan is, let's say every Republican right now, every Republican were to say, we are against this thing, there's too much government spending. Yes, unity, that's great, awesome. They're against it and they get a different bill. We have the numbers to get a different bill that dramatically cuts spending. Great, move it to the Senate. Then what happens? Why is the bill going to go down in the Senate? Because we don't have enough votes to overcome a filibuster. So, Dan, what you're saying is the Democrats still have power to scuttle this thing? Yes. So if Massey scuttles this thing and say him and a couple other Republicans say no, the Democrats are going to go to Speaker Johnson and Senator Thune and say, hey, we'll give you some votes, but we want this. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'm not telling you it's fun, it's cool, it's awesome. I'm telling you it sucks. You are correct. Unfortunately, the world sucks sometimes. The things about the world and politics suck. You've got to deal with the suck and find a way to overcome the suck. So, Dan, how do we overcome the suck? I'm glad you asked. Guy, am I driving people crazy with this? No, I'm not. That is the wrong answer, Producer Guy. Folks in the chat, do you want me to leave this here? Is this boring? Yes or no? Bongino. There is a plan. The way to get around Democrat obstacles is the reconciliation bill. Because if they use the reconciliation bill, which is not this bill, okay, thank you. Guy is wrong again. Guy is wrong again. Yes. He is wrong. Wrong. He is totally wrong. I just want that on the record. Sorry, everyone. I just wanted it on the record in the studio for the last time that Producer Guy is wrong. It's a long walk into the studio. I just burned calories. Because if there is a path to fixing this thing, the reconciliation bill uses a process called reconciliation. So if we can just get there and be patient and deal with a few more months of this crap bill with government spending, we don't need to overcome a filibuster in the Senate. All we need is a majority using reconciliation, where we can actually implement the DOGE cuts. Guys, although Guy's wrong again, it's on the record. The studio's great. In the old studio, we couldn't have done that because it's so tight in there, we couldn't move around. Yes, I did. I know. I do have to say on the record, I blamed Guy for the fungus last week. I had a head cold and I blamed him. It was not him. It turned out to be allergies, like bad. I know because I got my blood work back. So apologies to Producer Guy on a good note. It was not him who passed me whatever deadly virus I thought I had. I did not. But he's definitely wrong on this one. And that's why I don't agree. And I have defended Congressman Massey in the past. You just go back and watch the shows. I don't get emotional about these things. He has been amazing on the January 6th pipe bomber case. Incredible. He is wrong here. I'm sorry, he's wrong. He doesn't have a tactical plan to cut spending. I just gave it to you. Get rid of this CR, deal with it for 3 more months, move on to reconciliation, and fight the fight there where you actually have the numbers. Does that make sense? Anybody disagree? If you think that I'm a toolbox and a jerk right now, and you're like, that's just crazy, tell me in the chat. I'm open. All I'm asking you is, if you believe that, tell me what your plan is. Tell me what your plan is to get over the Senate filibuster. If you have it, I'd love to hear it. Everybody, everybody can talk a big game. The problem is you have to have a plan to implement it on the field. All right, moving on, because I got a lot more to get to. He's like, you haven't even got to the show yet. I know. President Trump does have a plan. He has laid out a 100-day agenda, which we're not finished with yet, that has been incredibly transformative. And I could make a strong case to you that at least in my lifetime following politics, I'm 50, been following politics 35 years, maybe a little less since I'm about 15, 16 years old. I've never seen anything like this, folks. He said what he was going to do. We are going to stop illegal immigration at the border. Oh my gosh, look, it stopped. I mean, we could show you the numbers. I think we got a segment on this. Oh, we do. We have a segment on this later in the show. The numbers are ridiculous. They've fallen off the face of the earth. He said, I am going to do X, and X happened. He said, I am going to do X on the economy. I'm going to bring back and onshore businesses into the United States. He's held a press conference once a week. Apple, Taiwan Semiconductors, all bringing back business into the United States. I'm just telling you, you may not like it. Maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you want businesses offshore. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. He has a plan. He said, I am going to disrupt and stop deep state weaponization of government. Look who he's appointed. I'm keeping myself out of it. The few more days I have with you, look who he's appointed. One of the people he appointed isn't even a Republican. Or wasn't. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard was not a Republican. She ran for president as a Democrat. President Trump was so open to change, he said, I'm going to appoint people outside of my partisan sphere, someone else, because I believe this person is a change agent. And look what happened. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, on her X profile. Per President of the United States directive, I've revoked security clearances and barred access to classified information for Tony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, Lisa Monaco, Mark Zaid, Norm Eisen, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Andy Weissman, along with the 51 signers of the infamous Hunter Biden disinformation letter. What do all of those people have in common? Let's go to the chat. Who gets it first? What do all of those people have in common? Go Tulsi, says John DeSalvo. Yeah, you're darn right, John. What do they all have in common? Yes, they've all weaponized the government and been involved in using their positions for partisan intent. That is exactly correct. Donald Trump has said, I am going to stop that, and he's doing it right now. You don't have to agree with it. This is kind of my issue. And I'll say again, to kind of just spill it back to Massey, in case you think this is in any way personal. I'm telling you, I've defended him before. And if he turns out to be a +1 on other issues, terrific. I'm just telling you, with this specific issue, this is a -1. This is not for me. I want a plan. It is not emotional. It's passionate, but not emotional. Give me the plan. Donald Trump said, I'm running on this MAGA plan. The MAGA plan is happening. All I'm asking for, fair enough, is okay, you have an alternate vision? What is your plan? Oh, I don't have one. Okay, well, that's not a plan. By the way, here was Joe Biden in a flashback here. You talk about weaponizing intelligence for those people that are going to attack. Here was President Biden suggesting that the guy who was duly elected president, President Donald Trump, multiple times, that he shouldn't get intel briefings. So please spare us the lectures on weaponizing government. We're trying to de-weaponize government. De-weaponize government. It's unfortunate you don't see it the same way. Check this out.
Should former President Trump still receive intelligence briefings?
I think not.
Why not?
Because of his erratic behavior unrelated to the insurrection.
I mean, you've called him an existential threat. You've called him dangerous. You've called him reckless.
Yeah, I have, and I believe it.
What's your worst fear if he continues to get these intelligence briefings?
I'd rather not speculate out loud. I just think that there is no need for him to have that intelligence briefing. What value is giving him an intelligence briefing? What impact does he have at all, other than the fact he might slip and say something?
He might slip and say something? Well, slip and say something. This is from the king of slipping and saying something. Excuse me. Not the fungus, definitely. Just a note. Not Guy's fault.
This is what the talkback's for, by the way.
Oh, I know. Thank you. Good to be able to talk back. Guy said, I just fake cough, but Guy wants me to get used to using that. It's only 4 more days, brother. It's only 4 more days. So 4 more. I'm not sure I'm going to get used to this cough button in 4 days. If we were here longer than 4 days, a couple weeks, I would start practicing with the talk button. Can you guys hear that? See if I... Pretty good.
They can't hear it.
All right, good. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it's not Guy's fault. Guys, I saw someone in the chat. Show me the plan. Tulsi Gabbard, DNI Tulsi Gabbard, and President Trump had a plan. If you were in any way involved in using your position for partisan intent and not for to defend the oath you swore to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, the state of New York, for the local officials, if you were involved in that, I'm sorry. You do not get a security clearance for that kind of information. The fact that you can't handle that on the left is your problem. There are people out there who can and don't plan on using their offices for partisan intent to go after their political enemies. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll get back to this. The Democrat messaging, folks, the sea legs are still there. They just can't seem to get it together. I'm going to show you this clip from Jon Stewart. This is borderline ridiculous. This is one of those things. When I first saw it, I really thought it was an effort at bad sarcasm. This is real. Trying to imagine what a U.S. media environment would look like with a bunch of liars in it. You don't have to imagine it. We're here now. And one of my first sponsors when I started this journey is a company I believe in. We read that one before, My Patriot Supply. You got the wrong one up. Yeah. It was My Patriot Supply. We just read that one, didn't we? Yeah, you guys got the wrong one. Well, there you go. We love My Patriot Supply, too. You guys are fantastic. But that was the wrong one. All right, there we go. In a time where standing for what's right is paramount, there's a company out there that doesn't back down, a company that believes in American exceptionalism. Oh, I love this company. The company, Thin Blue Wine. Yeah, good to see you guys. Thin Blue Wine isn't just about making incredible award-winning wine. It's about making a difference. This veteran and retired police officer-owned winery proudly stands for pro-American, pro-law enforcement, pro-first responder, and pro-military. They don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. They donate to organizations that support the families of fallen police officers and service members, and that's what matters. One of their top-notch wines earned 92 points on Wine Enthusiast. Paula just tried one of the bottles Thin Blue Wine sent over, and she loved it. And here's the best part. You can invest in Thin Blue Wine, own a piece of the company. It stands for the same values we believe in. Go to thinbluewine.com today to get 10% off using promo code Bongino. It's a chance to support a company that supports you and be part of something bigger. Thinbluewine.com and use code Bongino for 10% off. And our last sponsor today, oh, I can see something. I'm going to have to, you see Jasmine outside? Yeah, something definitely going on. His studio, we love it, but I think, find out Justin, find out what was up with that, all right? Hey, you don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boats are, you can walk by, don't worry, the audience won't care. You don't go out and buy a life, what? Oh, sorry. You don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat's already sinking. You don't buy gold when the economy's already collapsed. Clearly, others are heeding this advice as gold hit all-time highs in the first part of 2025. It's not too late for you, too. The company I use to diversify into physical gold is Birch Gold. I buy my gold from Birch Gold. They specialize in helping you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold for no money out of pocket. Just check out this 5-star review. Knowledgeable, helpful, no pressure. That's what you get with Birch Gold. That's why they've been with us for so long. So get your free info kit on gold by texting the word Dan to the number 989898. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, text Dan to 989898. Let the experts at Birch Gold help, BIRCH, help you secure your future today with gold, message, and data rates apply. Okay, Here's what I mean, how the messaging is just all over the place. They still haven't gotten their sea legs. And the problem with the Democrats, and I'm not here to give them any kind of political advice, obviously. I mean, this is a Republican, conservative, MAGA show. This is not a Democrat advice show. However, this is good for us because we still have 100 days to take advantage of this. The talking points clearly went out on the men and women's sports issue, and the talking points are ridiculous. They're ridiculous because the Democrats have made the case, follow me here, this is important. If I lose anyone in the chat, stop me. The Democrats have tried to make the case forever that the federal government should have a heavy footprint, a multi-billion-dollar footprint in education, that it should be collectively controlled out of Washington, D.C. Of course, the MAGA crowd, conservatives and Republicans for decades have been saying education is a local issue. It is not the federal government's business if I want to homeschool, charter, school choice, whatever it may be. The talking points now went out about the men and women's sports thing. And I want you to notice how now the Democrats have now completely flipped the script and done a 180 and are now suggesting that on the men and women's sports issue, that this is actually a local issue. Sounds like what we've been talking about as conservatives for a long time. Check this out.
But for me, it's like, let the local community figure this out, right? In Michigan, we have a process in place where if someone who's born a boy wants to play in women's sports, you have to get a waiver. We've had it happen 2 times.
That we want to make sure that these decisions are made by the communities, whether it's schools and others that are the ones closest to us and then understand. What we know is that we're talking about a handful of people, a handful of athletes.
Every young person, and I want those sports to be fair, I want those sports to be safe, and I have confidence that local schools and local communities can make those decisions without the federal government making them for them.
Who said it? May not be Lori Delk. May not be a Democrat advice show, but they could learn a thing or two from it. Yeah, they could. And by the way, this goes for us too. Because we need to leverage our strengths and weaknesses, mitigate threats, and take advantage of opportunities. Basic business SWOT analysis. We have an opportunity here. What's the opportunity? The opportunity is to learn from Democrat missteps. This is the kind of thing, this is a loser issue. Oh, you say, does anyone see where I'm going with this, by the way? What? Anyone see where? A loser issue right now is a government shutdown while we build the reconciliation bill. It's a loser issue. It just is. By the way, the government doesn't even shut down. I hate to use their lingo. The government doesn't really shut down. Essential government services will continue. That's kind of Democrat lingo forever. I'm just telling you, we're trying to build momentum for what Donald Trump calls one big, beautiful bill. We already have some of the votes. The process has already started. I don't see, this is an 80-20 issue. If you were to ask people and lay out the facts like I did in the beginning of the show, you see how I'm tying these two stories together? It's important you understand this. Learn from what they're doing. They are dying on this hill of men and women's sports, and they're now so off message, they're making a case for local decisions in education we've been making for years. This is one of those things. Now we're going to what? Make their argument on the left? We have an opportunity to really cut government here. For the first time, the unnecessary anchor of government hanging around our neck. We have a unique opportunity in this reconciliation process to do it. It is going to take a couple of months to get it together. Let's not blow up the opportunity by showing the public that we're in total disarray. It just doesn't make sense. I'm telling you we can learn from this. I promise you this is not some stretch talking point I'm throwing in the show. We got a ton of stuff. Look, we got a ton of stuff to get to. It's an 80-20 issue. Nobody wants to see this right now. It makes no sense to die on the hill. This is the Jon Stewart clip I was talking about, by the way. You want to talk about getting your messaging off. I mean, completely off. Here is Jon Stewart, who was, again, I don't get emotional, but passionate. I say passionate on it. He was a +1 on the COVID thing, okay? He's a -1 on just about everything else. Here's Jon Stewart about the United States media, talking about how, man, wouldn't it be crazy if we had a media that lied all the time? What? Do you not see what's going on? Take a look at this.
So you're saying if you have a media machine that purposefully lies to its people to maintain a political fiction and get themselves power, that is the hallmark of an authoritarian system, not a democratic system?
Absolutely.
Well, if we were ever to get something like that in the United States, we would be horrified, furious, to know that there was an entire media organization designed to bend reality, to manipulate facts, to maintain power. It would, if I may, and I'm not trying to slam Hungary, it would never happen in the United States.
Who's to say? Sorry, I love looking through the chat. And sometimes you guys are so fast. Someone said Jon Stewart, it's like he took some irony pills. You think? No, not iron pills. I'm sure they're good for your hemoglobin counts and everything. Irony pills. Does this guy hear what he's saying? It'd be really incredible if we had a coordinated messaging machine in the United States lying to people. That'd be really terrible. Thank God we don't have that here. Dude, what? What? You just see what we just showed you? You see why the show flows the way it does? How the Democrats have a coordinated messaging machine, and now you can expect the media on men and women's sports to pick up the exact same talking point, which is what? Folks in the chat. Oh, this is a local issue. I thought education wasn't a local issue. No, it is now. They just can't get their sea legs under them. Learn a lesson from this. Take what you can take like Play-Doh and mold it into your own thing. Washington Free Beacon, here. You want to burn a lot of time on this, leftist? Go right ahead. Biden EPA officials spent time de-gendering bathrooms and policing pronoun use, internal documents show. Ladies and gentlemen, these were your tax dollars. Can you imagine working for a $1 trillion corporation that is taking billions of your dollars to police people's pronoun use? Oh, that didn't happen. No, it did. It did happen with your money that you worked for, that you busted your ass for. I'm going to take my last break, and then we want to get to Elon derangement syndrome. Folks, this is getting really serious. Really serious. I've got a good body of experience in threat assessment analysis. Elon, I know, has top-notch security, but this is getting really dangerous now. Some of these people targeting Elon have shown a total, complete lack of self-control. Our last break, and I'll get back to it. I'll show you what I mean. Hillsdale College, time's our most precious commodity. You've got to spend it wisely, improve yourself, and learn when you can. Hillsdale College is offering more than 40 free online courses. Learn about the works of C.S. Lewis, the stories in the book of Genesis, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, or the history of the ancient Christian church with Hillsdale College's free online courses. I've been enjoying Constitution 101. This course will explore the design and purpose of the Constitution, the challenges before the Civil War, how it was undermined for more than a century by progressivism and liberalism. The 12-lecture course is self-paced, so start whenever and wherever. Country needs more Americans who understand the Constitution and can defend the freedom of the American people against the encroachments of an increasingly large and unaccountable government. So start your free Constitution 101 course with Hillsdale College for free. Go to hillsdale.edu/Bongino to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. They're great courses. That's hillsdale.edu/Bongino to enroll for free. Hillsdale.edu/Bongino. Highly recommended. And our last sponsor today, Blackout Coffee. I'd say I miss you guys, but I'm not, because I drink Blackout Coffee and I love it. I had some today. As a matter of fact, I have some in my handy dandy. You see this, guys? It's the Donald Trump Detail Secret Service mug. Thank you, Director Sean Curran, for giving me what he's. You see that? DTD. Is that pretty cool or what? So I got some Blackout Coffee in there. They honor and take care of their customers more than any other coffee company. Blackout Coffee uses premium-grade coffee beans. A lot of people don't know what premium-grade coffee tastes like because a lot of these woke mega corporations push these lower-grade beans onto the American people. It's a bold taste. It's never bitter. I've been proud to recommend it. They've been a great sponsor of the show. We love you guys. Skip the long lines. Order online. They ship within 48 hours of roasting. It tastes amazing. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino. See what I'm talking about. They're the real deal. blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino, or use coupon code Bongino for 20% off your first order. Make the switch to Blackout Coffee. You're going to love it. Thank you, Blackout Coffee. So here's Elon here talking about a massive cyber attack that happened yesterday on his X platform. You know, me having been an investor in the tech space, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not the tech guy. However, because I've invested my own money in a lot of these entities, I've been kind of learning about it over the years and how DDoS attacks work, how intermediaries can block them. This was serious because X has some really, really good security measures in place. So for them to be able to hit on this type of scale, what I'm getting at is the people who are hitting him really, really were coordinating this. This wasn't some kid in a basement somewhere. Here's Elon on where he thinks these IP addresses connected to the cyber attack on X yesterday originated from. Check this out.
There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced. Yes. It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Well, there you go. So, folks, these things are not easy to do. What you basically do is these different IP addresses, which are like the DNA of a unique computer address, what they do is they all coordinate a hit at the same time on a website, meaning to overload the servers. So those things have to be blocked. It takes a really, really long time to do. These are not the kind of thing, well, I mean, if you're really sophisticated with a lot of money, you could run out of a basement, but you're going to need assets. Someone has targeted Elon, and like I said, I know he's got top flight security, but this is getting serious. I mean, they have it listed on a thing as Elon derangement syndrome, and I can't disagree. Here, Larry Kudlow on the show lists the attacks going on against Elon's businesses right now. It's not just X, but it's elsewhere. And I'm going to bring up something after this about this whole myth out there that every single person involved in government is there for money. Really? After this, are you sure? Check this out.
They're setting fire to various Tesla charging stations near Boston. Shots were fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Various nonviolent...
Shots fired, not a metaphor.
Shots fired, yes. Downtown New York, marching against the Tesla showroom. Your stock is way down. You've been criticized left and right.
But look on the bright side.
I mean, why are you doing this?
Always look on the bright side of life.
Yes, I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
Listen, gents, ladies out there in the Bongino Army, you know I love you guys. I'm not going to spin your wheels. There are a lot of people in government, a lot. I don't know a percentage. I'm not even going to dare throw one out. Who are there for one reason? They are there, maybe they couldn't find something in the private sector. They figure out that they can use their position to gain influence. They'll use that influence later to make money. It is the least surprising story in human history that people leverage power to make money. Lord Acton was correct. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. However, there are people, and a lot, I'll just name a few right now, who I can tell you from personal experience, if you think they're working in government to make money, then I'm sorry, but I really can't help you. You're just making that up. You have zero evidence that's true. Elon Musk, last time I checked, do you guys know his net worth? Can you look that up? I think it's something like 200 to 400 billion, depending on the stock price of Tesla on any given day. What is it? What's his net worth? What does it say? We're looking this up in live time here. I love that we can throw this stuff on the screen. This is really cool. What is it? About 200 billion?
It's 342 billion.
342.4 billion. That's like a rounding error. 0.4 billion. Guys, 400 million rounding error. I mean,
I wish I could have that rounding
right.
error.
I'll take, you know what? I'll take a tenth of the rounding error. That's his way. Do you really believe that this guy left this incredible life he has? Tech genius, rocket guy, all of this stuff. He left this to go make money in the government because he needs contacts? Elon's just the high-profile case. I'll give you a few more. You know Sean Duffy? Sean Duffy, the now Secretary of Transportation. Yes, obviously Avita works here, but I don't say this because of any personal relationship with her or her dad. Sean Duffy was doing great, had a nice show on Fox. People loved it. Family was doing great. They got a lovely house up in the Northeast. They go to work every day. Big family. Do you have any idea what they had to sacrifice to take the job as the Secretary of Transportation? It was bad. He's not there for contacts or money or connections. Here's another one. Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary. Howard Lutnick, very wealthy guy. You think he left his job over there to go make $200,000 a year in government at Kinner Fitzgerald? What about Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary? Guys.
How about Dan Bongino?
I hadn't heard anything about him. They mentioned another guy. And I don't know anything about it. I'm just telling you all, it is always, always remain an err on the side of skeptical of people with power. Always. Me included. Err on the side of skeptical, and that way you'll never be disappointed. But don't become so skeptical that you lose your faith that there's anything out there can be changed or fixed at any time. I'm not trying to preach. I'm not your preacher. We had Father Marty here this morning blessing the studio, and we appreciate that. I'm not a preacher. I love Jesus very much, but I'm not very good at preaching other people because I fall short sometimes myself. But when you lose faith that, change is possible at all, you lose hope. You ever read the book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning? It's his story of the concentration camps in Nazi Germany and how so many people, he could tell when they were about to die. I'm not talking about the ones that were killed. Obviously, they're dead. But some were kept alive and were used for basically labor. And he said he could tell every single time when someone was about to give up and what they call run into the wire, because the fence was electrified, so that if you wanted to kill yourself, you'd run into the wire. And he said he could tell right away. They just gave up hope. They just gave up hope. And the whole premise of the book, which was, I've talked about it often, which is a generational bestseller, Man's Search for Meaning, is that meaning very simply, and he's not trying to be a poet in a book, he says it many times, is just hope that you can fix something and that tomorrow you'll get back to some sense of joy and freedom. And that'll keep you alive. Don't lose faith, folks. There are people out there, I promise, who are in this for the right reasons. While we're on the topic of Elon, here's the reason that the left is really hyped up the attacks against him. And I mean the attacks in the, again, not in the metaphoric sense. There were actual attacks against his businesses, and I'm sure there were threats coming in too to him as well. Here's Elon on the GAO fraud numbers. Folks, the Democrats do not want you to know how much is going on behind the scenes to take your tax money and shuttle it off to these kind of black box operations that are partisan. The intent is partisan. It's not to help the American people. That's why they're freaking out. Check this out.
What motivates you to do this?
Was the opera good?
It's tough sledding.
Yeah, it is tough sledding. But I think we're doing the right thing here. There's been a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government. When you're part of the government, you saw a lot of that, and there's been if you look at the Inspector General reports and the Government Accountability Office, there have been many audits that have pointed out that there's a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government. In fact, there was a report issued by the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, last year. So during the Biden administration, which estimated the federal government fraud to be $500 billion. So just to be clear, that's not a Trump administration thing, that's a Biden administration thing. So what we're trying to do is get that number down to a much smaller figure, save money for the American taxpayer, stop money being spent on things that I think very few taxpayers would agree make sense.
Folks, here's why they're, but you can go up there. Yeah, don't worry about it. You want to say hello? Yeah. Jasmine, you want to say hello? She said, no, definitely not. She did a little zip around about the thing. You didn't see her, right? It's just like a ninja creeping in here. You have skills, Jasmine. How did you fit between the camera and the monitor there? It was unbelievable. She did this little thing. She was like Plastic Man creeping through there. Very good. I was impressed right there. A little jujitsu you did there. Here's what's going on here. Hey, Justin, can you bump to Trump on Bartiromo about Social Security? I'm going to tie these together. It wasn't the intent. I was going to play this later in the show. But I'm going to show you what's going on. Here's the reason, as I said to you over the last 2 weeks, talking about the Doge and why the Democrats are freaking out over Elon, that they will defend, maybe not openly and say, hey, we defend fraud, but they don't want you to find out about the fraud in government. Because, folks, when you find out how much money has been sent to government and sent out to unauthorized recipients, dead people, people not entitled to government disability, you are going to be stunned. And now, let me put this out to the chat. Let's say Elon, in the end, when the Doge work is done, say he finds his $1 trillion number. Forget it. Say he finds half, $500 billion. Can you imagine what $500 billion in fraud looks like? Do you have any idea what $500 billion in fraud looks like? What's the first question you're asking in the chat? Who the hell's policing this stuff? Exactly. And then people start to say to themselves, wait, you're telling me that this $5 to $7 trillion government enterprise we're running right now, more when you factor in our long-term entitlement obligations, that there's almost no mechanism to stop rampant amounts of fraud that may be a tenth or even more of the federal budget every year? Then you start to question everything. That's why Donald Trump is being very tactical about this. Now, listen, we've obviously had President Trump and I, we're going to have to eventually engage in a pretty massive reform of entitlement programs. They're just designed poorly, and the people who paid into them deserve their money back. They paid into them. And the way it's designed now is terrible. But President Trump is being tactical about this. Here's President Trump on Maria Bartiromo's show talking about Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. He knows this. He knows if he can show the American voter first that these programs are not being policed very well at all, the systems are antiquated, that maybe if we can get the fraud out and say, look, we got some of your money back, that then they'll build the initiative for a long-term reform that'll stabilize these programs. It's actually a very smart approach. Check this out.
I'm not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Now, we're going to get fraud out of there. You know, you see where I talk about it all the time. We have people 250 years old and all, you know, tremendous fraud. But that has nothing to do with that. We're going to get the fraud out, and everybody wants us to get the fraud out, and therefore you'll make it better. But we're going to have tremendous growth. When you look at all of the car companies that are now coming into the United States, and they've been announcing, like on a daily basis, they're going to build their plants and they're going to create tremendous numbers of jobs and so many other things.
You see what he's doing? All right, as I say often, I'm not here to tell you everything is the chess checkers analogy. I'm not. Sometimes stuff gets done and it doesn't go well and you backtrack and you say, hey, we screwed up. I'm reasonably confident this is. He understands that, okay, going back to the beginning of the show, because everything has a reason in the show, he understands that you can have all the ideas you want. We need to reform Social Security. I've said it 1,000 times. Great idea, Dan. What am I going to say next? What's the plan? The public's desire to reform these programs right now, candidly speaking, is not there. It isn't. I can tell every time I mention Social Security and your money being stolen, I get angry letters from MAGA supporters who are angry at me for recognizing the obvious. Donald Trump understands, President Trump gets, that the public is not there right now. And he's doing this deliberately. He figures that we can fix this thing if we can first point out and take the low-hanging fruit. And then maybe people will be more open to saying, okay, I trusted you to fix the waste in there, fraud and abuse. You did. Now let's take the next step and stabilize these programs that some people rely on, a lot of people. Let's stabilize them using a more efficient and effective economic model. It's pretty smart. Why'd you zip out to the shot there? You just like playing with the cameras? Justin's just like, because I felt like it, and I'm the producer of the show.
Pretty shot, man.
Want.
It's pretty shot.
You like that? It is. Do that again. I like that. Is that? Do I have a good side? I don't, right? They're both bad. Yeah, I think I'm getting to that point in my life where there is no good side anymore. I've run out of good sides. I'm enjoying, though, the new, what do we have, 3 angles? There's another one, too, right there. Do I have to shave in the next job? I don't think so, right? I'm kidding. I think we're going to keep this look. All right, speaking of, I know, I shaved this morning. That's my shoulder. Okay, yes, that's my face. Thank you. Wow, that's an extreme close-up. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. So you go, of course, what does he do? He goes in closer. These guys, this crew. Look at this. Even Jasmine's in there like, what is wrong with this show? And nothing's wrong with the show. Oh, that's not me. That's not me. That's Frank. That's not me. Frank's going to be very busy over the next few years. That's not me. Anita, I think you're taking the Frank head there, right? Anita, you going to be here on Friday? I think you are, right? Speak coming to. I'll show you your Burger King thing. I have one. You gave me two. I kept the other one over in the other house. Back to the show, because on the show, sometimes I get easily distracted because I have so much to talk about. Listen, this is not a self-praise moment. Maybe it is. I told you at the time Senator J.D. Vance from the amazing state of Ohio was going to be an incredible vice president. Why? Well, listen, it wasn't hard. I'm not going to tell you I had some Stygian witches like, give me the eye. It was just easy. When you watched him debate, who was he running against? Tim Ryan at the time? I thought, man, this guy's special. This guy is absolutely fantastic. I said, he's going to be incredible. I had chat blowing up right there. Here is Vice President Vance, who never seems to get caught off guard by a question or anything else because he's smart. The guy's like an encyclopedia of information. Here he is. He's just nuking a heckler, interrupts his speech at the National League of Cities. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the way it's done. Check this out.
You go across the world and you see a very consistent relationship between a massive increase in immigration and a massive increase in housing prices. And we have to be honest about that. Well, I see one of our nice representatives out here wants to actually, I guess, continue to flood the country with illegal immigrants, making your communities and citizens unaffordable. But ma'am, with all respect, one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing is because we want to make it more affordable for Americans to live. That is one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing.
He never gets caught. Did you notice that? He never gets caught. Have you guys worked in mid-sized, big-sized corporation? I'm sure many of you have in the chat right there. I'm looking at the chat right there on the screen. You ever have that one guy who he's just in the room, he just commands attention and presence, and he has that power that you can't really put. It's like the je ne sais quoi. It's typically because he just has a feel. He has such a comfortability level with the business and and just has a general knowledge level. I guess what I'm trying to say is he has an answer for everything. But I don't mean that in a snarky kind of toolbox way. He has an answer for everything because he just does a lot of homework. That's J.D. Vance, the vice president. He's been in so many different spaces between the Marine Corps, tech investing, politics, the United States Senate, and he does his homework that he just never gets caught. And I saw that early on. If you go back and watch his debates against Congressman Tim Ryan, you'll see what I'm talking about. The writing was on the wall. It didn't take some political genius to see it. And because of this team of President Trump and Vice President Vance, again, going back to the beginning of the show, we have a plan. It's nice to talk about stuff, folks, but you've got to do. Someone asked me the other day, a friend of mine, you all know who he is. He said, well, why are you doing this? And I said what I tell everyone, because it's the same answer, because it's the only answer. You can't tell your audience to go out and do stuff. Do. Talk is cheap, do. And then when it comes to you doing stuff, you say, I didn't mean me, I meant everyone else. You look like a phony. President Trump and Vice President Vance had a plan. They're enacting the plan. All I'm asking of his political opponents, and even people in his own party who disagree with his plan, what's your plan? If you're a congressman or anyone else, what is your plan? Lay it out. I promise you I'm open to hearing it. Send it to me. I will air it on the show. Tell me if you don't have a plan, you're saying that plan sucks, but I don't have a replacement. Okay. Here's what I mean. Cue up V8 for me. Here's a CBS immigration report. You want to see what a plan that you actually enact and do and follow through on looks like? President Trump was very clear. We are going to stop illegal crossings at our border. We're going to stop it to a trickle. Well, look, it's only been less than 2 months. And even CBS has to acknowledge, man, we can't even find anyone out there. You doubt me? Listen to yourself.
You spent how long, going along the border?
4 hours.
And how different was this trip versus past trips
Well, we
through
did
different
not see a
administrations?
single migrant or asylum seeker. And typically, when we go to the U.S.-Mexico border, we at least see one group of people who are trying to cross into the U.S. illegally. We did not see a single migrant. We saw soldiers, Border Patrol agents, and National Guard troops and vehicles and barriers, but no migrants.
It's not the Dan Bongino show, guys. That's CBS. It's CBS, not known as a big pro-Trump outlet. Here's Bloomberg. Migration to the United States through the Panama jungle route plunges. Guys, that's a 99%. Not 9. Not 19.9. 99%. That's what a do looks like and not just a talk. So I'll end today as I started. I am open to anything. I do not get emotional about people. They've been plus ones and minus ones, and that's okay. I'm just asking you for something very simple. If you don't like plan A, then you are obligated to present plan B. If you don't have a plan B, you're just obstructing plan A. You are not an effective implementer of the do. You are an effective implementer of the talk. Fair enough? Folks, thanks so much again for tuning in. Please check out Haley's show, Hayley, Haley Karanea, exclusively the video show on Rumble, not on YouTube. Rumble.com/Haley. That's Hayley, 2 Y's with Haley. So that's like 2 Y's for yes. Make sure you watch it twice. Rumble.com/Haley. She'll be live at 6 p.m. Right from this studio. They put up a new kind of logo and badging. And, I saw the Auburn helmet on. After I told Haley, you don't have to keep the Auburn helmet on for your show. It's kind of my thing. But there she is tonight. Check her out. Support the show. Thank you guys for everything. I really appreciate it. We've got, after today, 3 more, well, 2 plus 1. 2 more podcasts with you, and then 1 finale, which is going to be really special. And I'm not going to tell you I have to turn in multiple man cards on that, but I probably will. So I'll see you on the radio show here in a little bit.